Late arrivals, especially for the very first class meeting, tend to disrupt the session. You can minimize that disruption by quietly greeting them and guiding them to a seat while asking them to meet with you at the break. During the break, you can help them get signed in, give them any handouts they may have missed. If the faculty member, though, stops his or her presentation to address a late arrival directly, just follow his or her lead. Sometimes class members' names are not on your class roll. Unregistered attendees can be oversights or possibly they've not registered for the class. The best approach is to find out what the situation is by asking whether they've registered. Once the problem is known, explain the situation to the faculty and then contact the OLLI offices. Be helpful, but let the OLLI office staff direct whether there's been a glitch or if there is some other problem. If there are limited numbers of handouts, make sure that properly registered attendees get what they need for the class. Sometimes the attendee just decided to attend the class. They cannot be in the class except with the approval of the faculty and OLLI staff. If you feel it's justified, you may allow them to attend the first class, but they must register to return. Once in a while, we have visitors too. As long as the faculty has no problem with that, we welcome them. Regarding the breaks, always check with your faculty member for their preferences. Sometimes, though, with new faculty members, you might need to mention that OLLI members are accustomed to taking a 10 or 15-minute break at the midpoint in the class period. Horror of horrors! What happens if the faculty does not show up? Be assured this almost never ever happens, but just in case, here's what you do. Call the OLLI office immediately. Remain cool, let the attendees know what's going on, and depending on directions from the OLLI offices, either ask the attendees to be patient and wait, or whatever directions you are given. Remember earlier I told you that there were certain duties that were unique to the very first session and also the end of the course. At that first session, you want to make sure that you meet with the faculty and introduce yourself, of course, and also give them a heads up of the kinds of things that you're going to be doing, that you will have certain announcements to make, a few housekeeping things like making sure everyone knows where the restrooms are and what the policies are that are unique to that building, such as some buildings don't want you to have food or drink in the classroom. Other facilities don't seem to mind if that's the case. Also, you need to emphasize to your faculty that you're going to be as brief as possible and not take up any class time. So then you also will want to ask them whether or not they prefer that you introduce them or do they want to introduce themselves. So then looking at the order of the first class, you're going to call the class to order, try to be precisely on time with that. You're going to make your announcements and any handouts that the faculty has given you, but also you're going to explain to the class what your role is, who you are, and what your duty is as host and as a representative of OLLI USF. And then lastly, you would introduce the faculty, but you would also remember to be as brief as possible. Some of the duties that fall into either the second to the last class or the last class, you're getting ready to wrap up the course. And remember, I think I've mentioned before that our faculty are volunteers, just like you are. They're not paid to teach our classes. So in the next to the last class or the last class, it's a good idea to circulate the OLLI thank you card and let class members sign it. Don't forget to sign it too as the class assistant. And a second thing you need to remind them toward the end of the course is that about a week after the class ends, they will be getting an email asking them to evaluate the class that they've just taken. For those members who don't have an email address, there are evaluation forms in the packet that they can fill out on paper and give back to you. Also, you need to tell the class members that the evaluations online are strictly confidential. The instructor never sees them. What the instructor gets is a report where the staff has pulled all the evaluations together and puts it in the form of a report to the instructor. It's also important that we encourage all of our members to fill out that evaluation because it's very important to our curriculum committee and our board of advisors. One last thing I want to mention as the class comes to an end, it's been a custom in the past that classes have either taken up a collection and bought a gift for their instructor or taken them to lunch. I want to emphasize that this is not part of your job as class assistant. The official OLLI policy is that faculty are volunteers. They don't expect to be given a gift or taken to lunch. But we know that OLLI members are adults, and if the class as a whole decides they want to take the instructor to lunch or to honor them in some other way, then that's their right to do so. I hope you will agree with me that this is a great way to support OLLI, especially if you enjoy taking an active part in a great program. Maybe this is just the job for you. If you've been a class assistant in the past or currently serving as one, then please accept a big thank you for your service to OLLI. If you're new to the job, please know that being a class assistant is as easy as being a host. The three of us collaborated to write, narrate, act, and produce this video for you. Thanks for your attention. Signing off, Doug Fairbanks, Kay and Don Menzel.